course, any war in an energy-rich region with former trading partners in commodities, including fossil fuels, would have an impact on the market. But if the cost of living crisis was solely the fault of the war, you wouldn't see energy companies in the UK, the US, and elsewhere in Europe reaching record profits, would you? They wouldn't be making more money, would they? That would be impossible, wouldn't it? Because they would be saying, we're making the same money or less money, we're paying more to get hold of these resources. That's just information, right? So if they are making more money, they're lying, right? We know that now.
Energy bills in the UK are about to jump dramatically. Brian Sullivan joins us now with more on a story he first reported on back in early November. Brian, the UK is where a lot of things are coming together. Higher energy costs, inflation fighting, rate hikes.
Yeah, and it's all happening at the same time. And what it's going to do, Mike, is result in a pretty steep drop in the quality of life for millions of people in England.
Oh, that's nice. The quality of life is going to deteriorate. Things have been getting worse for a long, long time. Pre-COVID, there were global uprisings, the Yellow Vest movement in France. Ordinary working people have been suffering for a long time, leading to the rise of Trump and Brexit and other radical oppositions to establishment power that are generally portrayed as being right-wing, but I think is a lot more complicated than that, and things are set to get even worse. I wonder if the state are preparing for uprisings by making it more and more difficult to protest and militarising the police. And by the way, let me tell you, I have nothing but respect for people that work in the services, and I see the relationship between law enforcement and the population of countries as being absolutely vital. We have to make sure we remain solid.
Here's what happened. Every 6 months, the UK power regulator, known as Ofgem, adjusts its rate hike caps. How much can power producers raise their rates?
There shouldn't be hiking it at all, should they? Because what we're being told is the only reason for these price hikes is there's an energy crisis because of Putin. Now, any of you that study geopolitics, even in the way that I do, by watching the news, by putting together different pieces of information, know that these matters are more complex than that there would always be multiple factors. It's a multivalent issue. But isn't it interesting how you can have certain nominated villains that in many instances, and I believe this is one such, create opportunity for more profit, increased regulation, when the only side effect is the deterioration of quality of life for ordinary people?
Ofgem just approved the biggest ever price hike for power companies in the UK, and some agencies now predict this could send 1 in 10 British families into what they call energy poverty, maybe having to choose between heating or eating.
What should we do? Brrr, or that's the old modern world for you. Good old progress with our iPhones and our complex identities and our wonderful worlds and our pink shirts with embroidery on it. What should we have? Brrr, or that's where we're living in developed nation. God save our gracious Queen. I'm a patriotic person. I love this country. I love your country, America. I love France. I love people having a connection to the land that they're from. I welcome it and I love it. But when ordinary people are making a choice between food and heat, it's time to accept that things are failing at an almost unprecedented level. And we can no longer call this progress. We can no longer rub our hands together and say, oh, look, AI, soon robots will be doing even more of our jobs. Then we can have even more people choosing between brrr or...
Is it for the next several months, this is going to be the level, but is this going to be the peak for them in terms of the cost? Obviously, it's going to depend on things like natural gas prices, but...
No, they're going to look for more opportunity to make money. How many of you knew that was coming?
What are we looking at further down the road?
Probably another hike next October.
More and more hikes. Almost as if establishment power is trying to diminish the ability of ordinary people to come together, taking away the most basic assets. You're all familiar with Maslow's pyramid of needs, right? Where, first of all, we just want shelter and food. Once people are concerned about those things, they're not getting out on the street saying, could we have a better, fairer society? People are just shivering, trying to get a cracker down their neck so that they don't starve or freeze.
Millions of people expected to pay about 80% more a year on their household energy bills starting in October.
That is unacceptable. The only reason that would be acceptable at all is if resources were genuinely failing. They're going to squeeze this till it affects absolutely everyone except for the rarefied elites that already dominate. Whenever you think the system ain't working, think, who is the system working for? Are there people benefiting? saying, oh yeah, it turns out energy companies are making $170 billion of profit in the next 2 years. Oh, so it is working if you're them.
And let me break it down for you. So right now, the energy cap, so this is the highest amount a company can charge a household a year, is about £1,900. Starting October, that's going to go up to more than $5,400.
They're increasing it simply to maintain profits. This is where our economic and financial systems have to be challenged, certainly addressed. Because if this is to generate profit rather than to sustain a system, then isn't it obvious? You can't plunge people into poverty so that shareholders can continue to take dividends, so that the value of energy companies can continue to increase. That is unethical. That's exploitation. It's tyranny. It's state manipulation. It's lying at the level of saying this is all the result of the Ukrainian war. I don't know enough to know what the details of that war are, but what I'll tell you is that if the energy companies are continuing to profit, then the line that it's all Putin's price hikes is simply a lie.
Even as this announcement was made, the energy regulator came out and acknowledged this is going to be devastating for families.
Good news, everyone. This is devastating for families. But I'm in a family. Yeah, you're going to be really fucked, but we're going to be hot, hot, hot. It doesn't matter to me. I spend winter in the Caribbean.
That's because it comes at a time when the UK is already grappling with double-digit inflation. And this isn't even the first time that energy prices went up this year.
This is happening all over the world. The ordinary people of America have more in common with ordinary people in the UK, France, all over the world. We have more in common with one another. I'm not claiming to be poor anymore. I'm not naive. I know that. I do all right. I've been poor. But the fact is this: establishment elites are profiting from poverty. It's gone too far. It has to be addressed. It will only be addressed by uprising. When failure within the system is assured, you have to move beyond the system in order to succeed.
But there's now a lot of concern for families across the region, particularly people who they define as living in fuel poverty. These are people who can't afford to plug in their fridge.
UK households will pay almost triple the price to heat their homes this winter compared with a year ago. A jarring increase for millions of people already struggling to afford everyday essentials. The National Energy Action predicts this will push 8.2 million 1 in 3 households into fuel poverty. Leaked analysis from the Treasury reveals top energy generators are estimated to make more than 170 billion in excess profits over the next 2 years. Just take a moment to absorb that. During this time that's being defined as a crisis, energy generators are going to accumulate £170 billion in profit. That shows you that it's not about simply keeping the lights on, to use a popular analogy. This is about continuing to profit at the expense of ordinary people. That is a kind of devout corporatist fundamentalism. If they were a jihadi group demanding that their rights continue to be met in the face of such suffering, we'd have boots on the ground military opposition. But because this is an alliance between the corporation and the state, nothing can be done except by grassroots movements. Of course, this is not just the UK and the US, it's happening all over the world. This is a real opportunity for true global solidarity. 51 governments around the world, including the United States, Germany, Canada, China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, provided a combined $697.2 billion in tax breaks and other handouts to the fossil fuel industry last year. So not only are they charging you, not only are they exploiting you, your government, which the only money your government has is your money, are giving them tax breaks. They're already living in communism. That's communism. Their business model failed. It's kept alive by the state. You fail. Brrr, food or fuel is your decision. They don't have to confront those kind of decisions. It is our duty to oppose this kind of corruption.